Hi, this is my take on the World Cup. First of all, I'm not a soccer hater. I never thought that it was a thing much in the United States. I took some flack on social media because people were all pumped up about U.S. soccer winning a match or two, and I said they were going down without really knowing. But I just know that soccer in the U.S. it just they don't produce the talent that these foreign countries. There's a sociological factor involved, and I won't get into that. There's probably been books written about it. Why are these somewhat impoverished countries, can they make it happen for soccer? Well, it's it's somewhat complicated, but in the U.S., soccer is the redheaded stepchild. I mean, everybody has gone to youth soccer games. Soccer is prevalent across the United States. There's fields everywhere. There's college scholarships due to soccer, but it's not a thing. I'm sorry, it'll never be a thing. But what I do know is the other day I got a phone call from my buddy Paul, and he said, "Guys, you watching the World Cup?" I'm like, "Come on, please." He's like, "The finals. You got to watch that." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe. I don't know." Well, here's what I do know about soccer, other than the fact that it'll never be huge. It'll never be what I consider a thing in the U.S. Is that I have played the game in 1969. I was a sophomore in high school, and my next door neighbor was the goalie on the soccer team, and he knew that I played sports, but that soccer wasn't one of them. And he challenged me to go out for the soccer team. He says it's a lot harder than you think it is. You'll be in great shape. Um, you don't have the cookies to do it. So naturally, I took him up on it, and I played on the soccer team. I played fullback at the time. People that soccer's changed, they call them defenders now, but at the time, uh, it was called a fullback. Fullbacks, there were two guys at that point in time that would protect the goalie more or less. If people come storming in with the ball, then you got to clear the ball. You got to knock people down. You do what you do, and it was not a complicated situation. You were never to go near that. I don't even know if you were allowed, but you would never approach midfield. So the glory of scoring a goal would never be yours as a defender. Not like the NHL where a defender can go the length of the ice. Soccer feels damn long and wide, too big and too wide, in my opinion. But so I played for 1 year, and lo and behold, Guilford wins their first state championship. And I was a JV player, but for the tournament, they added three people to the varsity. Why they picked me, I don't know. As far as I know, I was doing my job, but I guess the practices were tough, and I stuck. And being a defender in practice was really ball breaking work. They had these drills where um, it'd be like a 3-on-3 thing, and you'd be constantly getting challenged, and it was a bundle, a bundle. And I'll never forget those laps in Guilford at Adams at the time, the junior high school. The coach had us run these mammoth freaking laps that were had to be at least a half a mile long. Yeah, no, that's no joke. And soccer players in shape. This is the great thing about soccer is you don't have to be some muscle bound ape, and you don't have to be some freak, but you do have to be in shape. Most soccer, there's a profile for your average soccer player. You watched the game yesterday, you'll see these guys are thin, wiry, you know, in shape human beings that are their legs are like rocks, and really tough guys, but not necessarily tall, and definitely not wide. So it's interesting. It's a common man's game. Soccer is a worldwide phenomenon. I tried writing an article about this, but I couldn't do it justice. So that's the reason I'm on this video. I just had to watch something on YouTube itself to reacquaint me with what happened in that game, because it was like slow going, and then all of a sudden there was stuff was happening left and right, and I was intrigued by it, and I even got Kerry watching it, and it was fantastic. It was one of the greatest things we've ever watched on TV together. So it was really a nice experience. Um, the ebb and flow of the game was incredible. I mean, France looked looked lost. They weren't even possessing the ball. I mean, I read some article about how many passes were made and time of possession and all that stuff, and I won't bog you down on that. But what I will say is, for the good majority of the game, Argentina dominated the ball. Um, they got the lead, and somehow France got back in the game. They scored a goal, made it 1-1, and they scored the ball. They scored a goal before even having a shot on goal. They scored a penalty kick, so they had not a sniff of close to a goal, and now it's 1-1. And the goalie on Argentina still had not been tested. He did not even have one save. Goalies are at a severe disadvantage in soccer. Come on, that's a lot. I don't know this. I should probably look it up, but soccer goal is really wide. It's wider than you think, and and it's tall enough that you'll have to jump sometimes to block a ball. And there were some outstanding. Being a goalie is a tremendous disadvantage. I mean, yeah, you can use your hands, big deal. But these guys, they hit the ball. They hit rockets. They keep it low, then they kick it high. Then it's just a lot of stuff goes on. You could write books about it. It was really fantastic. So anyhow, France creeps back into the game, and they tie the game. I'm just skipping over a lot of great stuff, but this guy Mbappe that they're talking about on France, he's like the missing guy. He wasn't even touching the ball, and all of a sudden he took over the game. Scored on a penalty kick, then he scores on a real goal, and time is, of the essence. But France got it; they tied the game, and Argentina and the tide had turned as far as the fans going cuckoo. It wasn't all white and blue striped shirts going crazy. All of a sudden, they were quiet, and the people in blue in the stands were going bullshit. And it was really tangible. You could feel it, even in your own home, watching it on a TV. You could feel it. It's it was outrageously good. So anyhow, another thing that popped up, a couple things popped up, and then I'll just talk about the rest of the game in general. But at one point, they had two guys that were announcing the game. They were excellent. They were speaking, even Kerry said that is common sense English. These people are talking. I can understand what they're talking about. Wow, that's good. But the guy said that some of the people in the stands that spend their entire life savings to be there. And I'm like, oh my God, that is beyond belief. But at the same time, yeah, I could see it. You could, this is the thing. Soccer in Europe, for instance, they got all these leagues, and it is just a thing like you wouldn't believe it. These people grow up to be like a Manchester United, or I don't know the names of the teams, but it's in your blood, and it's very fervent, very fervent. You see my Barcelona flag there. And Trey gave me one when he went to school at Reims, and this was a beautiful football stadium, they called it, in France, the town that he went to school in. It was a big stadium, modernistic, big, huge stadium. I couldn't go in it because the gates were chained, but my God, from the outside, I was impressed. And this was in a mid-sized city in France. It wasn't like some huge city. But anyhow, when we were in Europe, we were only there for maybe a week or 10 days, I forget. But we spent some time in England, and I wanted to go to a English match in the worst freaking way, but I couldn't make it happen. I forget why. We had a limited time schedule, and it didn't matter to me what teams I saw. I just wanted to be part of it. And some little bandbox soccer, I don't even know if they call them stadiums, whatever they call them. But I missed the boat on that. But if I go back to Europe, depending on the country, well, actually, it doesn't matter. But the time of year is the key, because the soccer season doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't. It's not 12 months a year. There's a season, just like baseball season, football, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a soccer season, which I'm not privy to. And as far as soccer players, I could probably name 10 guys that I ever heard of. Pele sticks out, right? Maradona from Argentina, as a matter of fact. Beckham, David Beckham, right? Very in the news type of guy. Put a movie out of him, Bend It Like Beckham. He used to hit the ball and put this gigantic freaking curve on the ball. But anyhow, the game ended up it was a great game, and it went on for 3 hours, and it went to penalty kicks. And long story short, Argentina prevailed. The announcers even said it goes to extra, or the penalty kicks, Argentina. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. So the point of this video was I misunderstood how great the World Cup is. I know it's global, but I was floored by it. I got to say, it was fantastic. If I get a chance to go to a World Cup match someday, I will be there. It won't be the final. I'm not about to part with my life savings and go to a soccer game or even a fraction of it. But anyhow, that's it for today. Viva Argentina. Oh boy, that you talk about mixed metaphors. Out.